Good evening, everyone. My name is Liliane Merida, and I live in Florida. I'm a dog trainer. I have been training dogs for almost 47 years, and I was invited to this group by Vivian Demir. The magic of Facebook, we just started chit-chatting, and she invited me to the group. And I want to tell you a little bit about my story and how I got involved. Is 6 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with a very rare autoimmune disorder called Guillain-Barré syndrome. And I had a good friend who is an equine holistic vet. And unbeknownst to her that what was happening to him, she called me and wanted me to take a look at some information because she thought I would be interested for the dogs because we do agility and they have injuries, and she'd help me treat some of my dogs. So she was encouraging me to watch an ABC investigative report, which I did. And I have a 4-year degree in biology, so I understood most of what was said. And I was really, really intrigued initially to help him. So what happens with Guillain-Barré is that it's an autoimmune, so it's your own body attacks the myelin sheath of the peripheral nerves, and then there's no nerve connection. So there's no communication between the nerves and the muscles. So you're not paralyzed, but there's no strength. So in 48 hours, he was completely bedridden, couldn't walk, had absolutely no strength at all, like the strength that you need to do to open like the cap of a water bottle. He couldn't even do that. So very, very scary. Our life changed in an instant. And what the neurologist told us was that it would be at least 2 years before he could start walking again. And of course, very scary. You don't know what to do. We've always been partial towards holistic, alternative, eating organic, trying to do acupuncture, chiropractic, and any kind of holistic therapy to stay away from pharmaceuticals. And we thought we were doing everything right, and boom, this comes along and your life changes in a matter of a couple of days. So I did a lot of research because of my scientific background. I'm very open to anything that's non-pharmaceutical, but it's nice to have some science that backs it up. So I did some research, and my jaw was like to the ground. I said, like, if this does half of what it does, I want it for everyone in my family. For me, it was like a no-brainer because what we have been told is that if we eat a healthy diet, if we exercise, if we minimize the toxins that we put on our body, that a diet rich in antioxidants will help us combat those free radicals that eventually cause disease. And that's what we all believe. So when I was introduced to this, let's say it's called nutrigenomics, is how nutrition affects your gene expression. And when I was introduced to this, I was really, really very intrigued because this is really helping your body heal from the inside out. It acts at cellular level. So my husband made this little PowerPoint for me that I'm hoping that technology works and that I can share my screen with you. But this, if you want to write this down, this is a link to a web page, and it's called Biohack and Activate. And this link has a video, and it's a 10-minute video that explains, it's an interview that they do to a researcher at University of Colorado that has done this amazing discovery, which is 5 herbs, and it's the way that he combined them that has this ability to activate something that's called an NRF2 or NRF2 pathway. And in a nutshell, what is happening inside our cells is something called oxidative stress. So premature aging and disease, we're all familiar with, for example, what happens with an apple. If we cut it and we leave it out, eventually it's going to brown and it's going to decompose. So this is oxidation, anything that comes in contact with oxygen. So when we breathe, when we eat food and metabolize that food, well, this is an inevitable process that's happening inside your cells. And so at cellular level, this is what we see on the outside, but at the cellular level, this cell is being attacked by free radicals that are produced by that oxidation, and eventually it will lead to disease. So oxidative stress is free radical damage, and it is linked to pretty much every disease that you can think of. So it affects everything in our bodies: your heart, your skin, your kidneys, your joints, lung, brain, immune system, blood vessels, and multi-organ things like diabetes, aging. All of that is affected by free radical damage. So what this doctor discovered was that all mammals, this is something that is present in all mammals, this NRF2 protein or NRF2 protein, the simple way that I can explain it is, we're all familiar with the switchboard that we have in our house that controls the lights, right? So there'll be one switch that controls the living room, one switch controls the kitchen, one switch controls the dining room, but there is a master switch that will turn off like half of your house. So it turns out that we have genes, which would be the equivalent of those switches, that turn on, right? And they tell each cell what a healthy cell is supposed to make. So it could be, liver enzymes or liver proteins or whatever it is. It's the gene is the blueprint. It's the recipe for what that cell has to make. And what happens, this NRF2 protein is a master switch. So they have discovered that it controls up to 200 of the survival genes. And the survival genes are what keep us alive. So obviously they're a very, very important set of genes. And what this researcher found, and you'll see his interview, is that it took him 40 years to get to a perfect mix of herbs that actually turns on or activates. So what we're talking about is not supplementation. So if you want to think of supplementation as a payphone, that is that technology. And now we're talking about activation, it's your cell phone, okay? So it's a technology that has absolutely, it's like night and day. So instead of us eating blueberries and kale and broccoli and berries and all the things that we know that are good for us because they combat those free radicals, now when we activate this protein, it talks to the DNA in every single cell in the body and gives it the instruction to turn on the anti-inflammatory, the anti-fibrotic, the antioxidant, and the detoxifying enzymes. And they get all turned on when that cell needs it. So the best way that I can explain this is like, think of NRF2 as one of those little Roomba vacuum cleaners, and that sits on the cytoplasm of the cell. When you take Dr. McCord's, that scientist, his mix of herbs, it gets off from its dock, it goes into the nucleus of the cell, and it's going to tell that cell what it needs to do to eliminate the free radical damage and then eventually regenerate, get rid of the toxins, and then that cell can start working at peak performance again. So obviously it takes time, because in a human, if we start taking this product in our 50s or our 60s, we have 40 years, 30 years of accumulated damage that the body has not been able to respond to, because after 20, this system starts declining, and hate to break it to you, but we start aging at 20, and then all your systems start declining and not functioning at peak performance. So what this technology is, it enables the cells to start making all the enzymes that can combat the free radicals at a much higher rate. And also our bodies are miracles, and we have a perfect pharmacy, and the body knows what it needs to make to stay healthy. But what happens is we live in such a toxic environment that the cells can no longer cope. So our poor dogs that have, if you're feeding kibble that has grain that's contaminated with the glyphosate from the GMO crops, plus the products that we put for fleas and ticks, plus the deworming, plus there's probably contaminants in the water. You know, they walk on stuff that has been sprayed, they lick their feet. So their the assault, the toxic assault on our animals is probably even higher than ours. So think of it as, you know, this little Roomba vacuum cleaner gets activated, it goes into the cell, it cleans up what's needed, and then it pops right back out. So that is the NRF2 pathway. It's antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and detoxifying. So for you to have an idea, when you eat blueberries, which are excellent, so a handful of blueberries can neutralize about 2,600 free radicals. Only one of the body's enzymes can neutralize 1 million free radicals per second. And that enzyme regenerates itself for about 11 days. So there's no comparison. It's like the blueberry is like throwing a Dixie cup of water on a house on fire, and your enzymes is like having a fire truck in every room and putting the fire and even putting the fire out even before it starts, as soon as it sees the spark. So that's what we have. It's a beautiful technology. It's very simple. It's all natural. It does not interfere with any medication. So if you have dogs, or this works for people, if you are taking any kind of medication, you stay on that. If you're taking herbal products, you just take them separate, at least 3-4 hours. And then what happens is you work with your doctor or your veterinarian so that you can gradually, as the dog gets better or gets stable, you can wean them off if that's your choice of some of the drugs. I have read from a lot of the comments in your group that most people are holistically inclined, but if your animal is on any kind of medication, you just stay with that protocol and just start working with your veterinarian. As you see progress, then you would wean them off. So there is another pathway that's called the NRF1 pathway. And I'm going to take you a little bit back to 6th grade biology. And you may remember something called a mitochondria. In fact, I think I have a little drawing here that, okay, so we're going to go back to here. So this is our free radical. Okay, so this is a good explanation. So this is the direct antioxidant approach, so 1-to-1. So one antioxidant molecule neutralizes one free radical. So you would have to eat 375 oranges, 11 pounds of blueberries, and 87 glasses of wine, and 120 tablets of vitamin C to have the same effect as, this is his formula. It's called Protandim NRF2 Synergizer. And so this is what the discovery that they talk about in that ABC report is, this is how the normal curve of oxidative stress starts, let's say, growing. So this is in your 20s, and it's your oxidative stress starts elevating. And then when people started taking this product, they could not tell the difference eventually of the blood of a 20-year-old person from a blood of an 80-year-old person. So it was quite a remarkable discovery. So the only claim that the product makes is that it can reduce the damage by free radical damage by 40%, 40 to 70% in 30 days. And then if you keep on with the process and not letting those free radicals take over again, then it stays at the level of a 20-year-old person. So that was his discovery. And then a couple of things that are interesting to see is that he was able to patent that NRF2 Protandim because they tried, so this product is made of 5 herbs: ashwagandha, bacopa, green tea, turmeric, and I'm missing one, green tea too, and milk thistle. And they tested these individually, the herbs, to see how much they could activate that NRF2 protein. And you can see that some are even negative. But in his formula, it was 18 times more powerful. So that's why it's called a synergizer. It's the synergy. So instead of 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 5, it's 1 + 1 + 1 = 18. And that it has this measurable effect. And that's what allowed him to patent his discovery. And then there have been studies on Protandim. So this is the activation peak. This is also very nice because it works for about 6 hours, so it's not going to be turned on all the time. And these are drugs that have side effects that activate NRF2. And this is sulforaphane is derived from broccoli, so that's why eating broccoli is good for you because it activates your NRF2, but it just does it for a few minutes and very low. So these two, the B and the C, are drugs, which of course have negative side effects. This is natural, this is natural. So here's our mitochondria. So they look like these little bugs here. And this is where the cellular energy is made. So if I could give you another simple analogy is if I want to cook some vegetables and I put a pot of water and I don't turn on the heat, the stove, either the gas or the electric, well, that water is never going to boil. So if I don't have that energy source, nothing's going to happen. So the same thing goes on inside your cells, is that if the mitochondria make this ATP, which is the cellular currency, and that's why they're called the powerhouses of the cell. And it has lots of other properties, but it maintains glutathione, which is the master detoxifying enzyme in the body. It protects the DNA, it signals correct cell reproduction. It activates cell apoptosis. Apoptosis is cellular death, which I'm sure you've heard, like, for example, your liver regenerates. So there's the cells are born and they die, and that's a regular process. When you have some of the cancers, what they've discovered is that that process gets messed up, so the cells never die, and that's where you get the creation of tumors and things like that. So very, very interesting. There's a lot of research pointing out to mitochondrial dysfunction and cellular and cancer. So this is another of these little wheels where mitochondrial dysfunction is associated with all of these things. And so here we have, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, Huntington's, developmental delay, which is, the ADD, the autism. So these are all Lou Gehrig's, which is ALS. So that's another huge link. And then this company also has, I'm going to show you here so that you see how the process. So this is the Protandim NRF2 that we talked first, and this is the NRF1, which is the one that affects the mitochondrial biogenesis. They do have also, so one of the things that happened is people started giving the human product, which is this blue bottle, to the dogs, and then calling the company and saying, oh my God, this happened, that happened. So they did develop a product just for pets, which has the some added ingredients for brain support and for joints. So this is a really, really, it's almost like Protandim on steroids for dogs, really. Again, it's all natural, but I know a lot of your dogs also have, mobility issues because of stress from compensating when they can't use their back legs that well. The only caveat with this product is that this is weight dependent, and it's one tablet for up to 29 pounds, which I think maybe most of the corgis would fall in this category. And this is just $25 a month plus shipping. So very, very economical product for what it can do. Now, when you have bigger dogs, like I have labs, I use it for basically prevention. I just give them half. This is $40.99, but this is a month's supply for a human, so it's the equivalent for 2 dogs. So to me, it's almost like a no-brainer. Like, why would I not want to, use this on my animals? Okay, let me see if I can go back here. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to show you is that there is a lot of science behind this, and I did some research because I used to have a hydro exercise pool for dogs, so I did help I treated like 4 or 5 German Shepherds with DM, and I know the hydro helps them a lot, but it gets to a point where there's nothing else that you can do. And this, I did not know about this technology at that time, but one of the things that I was surprised with let's say the things that it has in common with Guillain-Barré is that problem of the demyelination of the nerves. And so one of the things that you want to do, if you're like a research buff like I am, PubMed.gov, what you see right here, is the U.S. National Library of Medicine, the National Institute of Health. So this is a government site. It's not owned by the company. These are peer-reviewed studies. So the studies that are here have to go out to 5 scientists in the same field, and they have to review the study, and then it's submitted, and then it's approved. It usually takes about 4 to 5 years to get a study on PubMed. So the first thing that I encourage you to do is, the name of the product is Protandim. And if you type Protandim on the search bar, you see there's 26 studies where they specifically mention the product. So it's not on the ingredients, it's not on ashwagandha or milk thistle, it's on the product itself. There is actually study number, cardiovascular. Okay, I don't know what it is now, but it is specifically on MS, one of the, oh, here it is. So oligodendrocytes are a type of, they're particularly vulnerable to reactive oxygen species, which is free radical damages. So of course, these are studies that are written for scientists and doctors. So you kind of have to try to read a little bit in between the lines. But if you just read the ending, it says oligodendrocytes are able to protect oligodendrocytes against oxidative stress by preventing free radical damage and cell death. So this is, again, these are studies. This is the Medical Center Neuroscience campus in Amsterdam. So these are like really well-known universities that it's not a study done by the company itself. The company will never do a study because we're a natural product. So they're, with FDA, only drugs can cure. So that's it. Natural supplements supposedly don't do anything. But one of the things that I did is I typed NRF2, which is that protein, and I typed, let me see if I can spell it correctly, what's the one that I read? Okay, demyelination. Okay, I think I got it right. So when you click on that, you see 71 studies linking NRF2 with demyelation. So of course, some of these is like, oh my God, like what are they saying? I have no clue. But I did find 4, and one actually, and and I can send this information, just send me a message or put it on the page. But this one, it says, the study is the role of NRF2 in several major neurodegenerative disorders, such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Huntington's, multiple sclerosis, and ALS. And they say it is a regulator of the defense system and functions activating a set of protective genes. So, just super interesting. And can I guarantee that this is going to help? Like, really, I don't know. And full disclosure, I am a distributor. We became distributors after we had such good results, not only with my husband, with a very arthritic dog that I had. And I just wanted this information for everyone. And that's what I do. I basically just try to share this with everyone that's open to natural things. So if you want more information, if you decide that you want to order, I am going to donate 50% of the commission that I make on your initial order. I've talked to Tawny and Denise and Vivian, and I'm just in love with what they do. And, I've been a dog lover all my life. So really what I want to do is help. And actually, I'm trying to design a little questionnaire, because the people that are interested, that want to put their dogs on it, I want to do some sort of follow-up like a systematic follow-up. So I want to have a little questionnaire that people can fill. And I know it's not going to be a super scientific, but at least to have an idea of what people are doing, and if it stops progression, if it helps. I think that because, it's so sad that the prognosis is really so short for these animals, I'm pretty sure that if in 6 months to a year, we see that we can slow progression, or if we start the dogs that are just diagnosed early enough, we might see very positive changes. I also wanted to tell you that we have an educational Facebook group called Biohack Your Body, and people put, I'm always researching, so I put up a lot of studies on NRF2, but everybody tells their story. It's a closed group, and there's stories on horses, people, dogs, you name it. So if you're interested, if you want to do your own research, call me. I'll send you the studies. There's one more study that I would love to share. This is very, very interesting. If you're like a science buff and you want to learn understand what NRF2 does, this is a study that was done in 2015 by Washington State University, where they're researching diets that elevate NRF2. These people don't know that there's actually a product that does that, a natural product that does that. So you have to link the two. But it explains NRF2 produces cytoprotection by detoxification. And it's very, very interesting. So 500 genes so far they've discovered are with that master NRF2. But this blows me away. Diseases where racing NRF2 is reported to be useful in prevention and or treatment in animal models and or human models. And pretty much everything. Cardiovascular, neurodegenerative, ALS is mentioned here, cancer prevention, chronic kidney diseases, metabolic diseases, toxic liver, chronic lung, sepsis, autoimmune, inflammatory bowel syndromes, HIV/AIDS, multiple sclerosis, and epilepsy. These are all studies that have been done where NRF2 is useful in prevention and or treatment. So, of course, I cannot say that our product treats, mitigates, cures any disease, but I can lead you to these studies and you do the math yourself. This is a little explanation of how it works. This is to me, it's just so amazing. It says it's difficult to escape the suggestion that we may be on the verge of a new literature on health effects of NRF2, which may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic, most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. It is our opinion that racing NRF2 is likely to be the most important health-promoting approach into the foreseeable future. So again, this is Washington State University that is saying this. The only statement that I can give you about Protandim NRF2 is that it reduces oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days in every single mammal that they have tested. And for NRF1, there's not as much studies on Protandim NRF1. This is a product that the company introduced, I want to say maybe like 3 years ago. So there are studies, but they're in that, slow 4 to 5 years before we're going to have published studies. But the results speak for themselves. So if you want to be added to that Facebook group, just let me know and I'll be happy to add you and you can do your research. I'll give you my phone number, my email, anything. I just, I'm a dog lover. So I just want to help. I really believe, because we've seen so many stories of people with neurodegenerative disorders that have been helped. And of course, for me, I just want to help the dogs. So I want to thank everybody. Vivian, you're watching. I want to thank you, because every time I go on your website and I read the stories, it's just so heartbreaking. And I'm on a mission just to share this with anybody that is looking. And if I can bring some of you guys a little bit of hope and help these beautiful, beautiful animals. I have lots of Corgi students because they're such great agility dogs. And I had no clue that this was so prevalent in the Corgi breed, and it breaks my heart. And if we can do something that can alleviate or help or prolong a little bit, gives them a little bit of quality time. I know how important that is because I have had dogs all my life, so I know what you guys are going through, and I admire your courage and your dedication. And I'm just hoping, I want to give you a little ray of hope that we can help some of the dogs, and then I would ask for you to help me, because I really want to create this database, so then also people could go back to their vets and say, look, we have 5 dogs or 6 dogs, and look at the progression, this is what's happened. And maybe, this can be our little ripple effect where we start in this beautiful group, and then we can take this and help so many other dogs and their owners. So I'm really excited. I want to thank again Tawny and Denise. We talk like Sunday, and beautiful, beautiful people. Vivian, thank you so much for introducing me. And I'll be online a little bit if you want to ask me some questions, private message me. I'm here to help you if you want me to send you the studies, whatever you need, and just let me know. Like I said, the product is very affordable. If you have multiple dogs and you want to use the human product, I'm going to say it's going to cost you maybe an average of $25, $30 a month. And if you just have one dog, with one order, it will probably last you several months. I would probably recommend maybe doing a double dose for about 10, 15 days, and then you go back to a normal dose and hopefully start seeing some improvements or alleviation of some of the symptoms, or even if we could just stop the progression, that would be so beautiful. So just drop me a line, let me know. I'll be checking the Facebook page, and anything you need, any questions that I can help you with, I'm here to help you. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night. And I'm recording this, so I will post this. It takes a little while, but I'll post this on the webpage, and then other people can refer to it, and hopefully we can get a little group and have our own little positive experiment. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you so much for watching.